What? Is it really so surprising to see me in person? You may call me by my name, Claret Flint. I don't need any fancy titles.
So she's bat-themed, I guess. I guess she feels more vampire-coded than Hugo did. In case, like, Zenless is very on the nose with its marketing. It's like, how do we make players realize that she's, like, bat-coded? Like, what if we give her a mask that kind of looks like a bat? Like, okay, that's a good step. What if we give her, like, shoes that have, like, bat wings on them? Like, okay, that's another one. What if we just give her white stockings and then put bats on them? I guess that works. She's got an axe here? What is this? What's this symbol over here? That's brand new. What could that be? Howdy, my name's Yojimbo Blade, and today we'll talk about Claret and this new class she's in. If you don't know what the symbol is, it's a symbol of a new class. Information about this class has technically not been officially revealed yet, but it's very close to being officially revealed. I also want to reiterate, they could absolutely change a lot of these things in the beta, which is why I want to be very hesitant about giving this information. If this information changes, check the pinned comment, please. The pinned comment to the video will have updates if they change any of this stuff. Here it is. Let's talk about the Armorer class. Zenless just announced Claret with this weird little symbol attached to her. What could that symbol possibly be? That symbol is telling us about the brand new class called Armorer. This is Claret. She's here, she's doing stuff. Brand new class, brand new character. This is the Armorer class. From now on, I'm just gonna call it Armor, because Armor is so much easier to say, and that way you don't have the issue of saying Murrer, because over time it's gonna go from Armorer to Armor. Skip the middleman, call it Armor. I want to be clear, these names have not been officially revealed, so they might change the official names of these. I apologize if that's misleading people, so I want to make that very clear. New class, new kits. At first, I was annoyed when I found out about this. Like, oh my gosh, another class? Come on, dude. You already have enough classes that you aren't using that much. Why don't you focus on them first? And now I realize, you know what? I think I'm cool with it. I find this class to be more interesting than Rupture. Now, it might sound like a hot take. I'll talk about why later. This will contain spoilers for Claret. I want to be very upfront about that. If you want to go into this knowing absolutely nothing about Claret, we will be talking about Claret, not in super specific details, but like the nature of what her class is going to be part of the discussion. And because of that, we're going to talk about some of the things Claret does, because we don't know if those things are something that the class will do, or if those are things that Claret is going to do. And I'm saying this stuff now because you deserve to know. You can prepare ahead of time to farm for Claret, and I don't want you to be surprised of building up your account to be like, oh, I spent 155 bucks and I got Astra because I was told that she's a great support for every team. I want to be very upfront about this. If you did that, you got scammed. Someone lied to you. You were misinformed. So you deserve to know, because I'm trying to help you ahead of time. I will not show any animations. Do not worry. I'm not going to display something that is going to spoil everything about the character a month before she releases. You're just going to talk about, hey, here's what Claret is. Here are some things that she will do. What does Armor do? Armor is crit DPSs. Again, that's it. There's more to it than that. They're not really crit DPSs, but they are. They're like halfway DPSs, but kind of like halfway not crit DPSs. It's weird. It requires you to think about DPS in a much different way. They are very different from regular crit DPS, like a crat. I'm combining attack and crit, and I said a crat. They're like attack DPSs and rupture DPSs, but they are very different. Some will think that it's good. Some will think that's bad. Like, a class that's different? Yay, finally, we needed something like that. And some will go, a class that's different? Boo, that stinks. I didn't want that. My opinion is a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. So I understand the frustrations of, oh my gosh, another class? It's like, yes, we just got off of them releasing a brand new attribute, and now they're releasing a brand new class. Actually, no, we got them releasing 2 brand new attributes back to back. I forgot. Lumiflux, or what Lumen, is a brand new attribute, but that's not really an attribute. Whatever. No one cares about Lumen. What does Armor do? Here's the very basic rundown. If you don't want to hear anything else, this is like the least spoiler way I can talk about this class that still talks about the class. The class is called the Armorer class. This class deals Armorer damage. This class has Armorer crits, and this class has Armorer super crits at a very basic fundamental level. This is all you need to know. What makes the Armor class different? They have a new damage type. They have crits, and they have a unique version of crits. That's it. So if you hear nothing from me, this is the most fundamental, simple way to break down this class. What is armor damage? If you are an armor agent, all damage is called sharp damage. And this damage uses defense as the damage multiplier. That's right. We finally have real defense scaling agents. Sorry, Ben. I wasn't sure if I put that line there, so I just said it. It's like, yep, okay, I did put it there. I remember I created this presentation on like Sunday, and I was editing it throughout this week. So like half the stuff I wrote like 5 days ago. So I can't remember everything that I wrote here. If you have trouble understanding it, it's similar enough to Rupture's sheer damage. Rupture agents deal sheer damage. Why? Well, because the game says they do. Don't worry about it too much. Later on in this presentation, I will address the similarities between the two. So armor agents deal sharp damage. Why? Just because. Armor crits. Armor agents do not have crit damage. This is probably the other thing that is very important to learn. As of right now, as far as I'm aware, until they've changed stuff in the beta, armor agents do not have any crit damage. Now that sounds insane. How do they deal crits? Like, how do their crits deal damage then? I mean, if you don't have crit damage, your crits don't really deal that much damage. So like, what the heck? Instead, armor agents have laceration damage. Again, these are not the official names yet because they haven't officially announced it yet. What is laceration damage? It is effectively crit damage. Your crits will scale off of your laceration damage. Basically, laceration replaces crit damage. Kind of like how sheer force replaces pen ratio. The Rupture agents, their class says, all of you ignore enemy defense. And because of that, we are going to use sheer force in place of pen ratio. So on the stat screen, you see sheer force instead of pen ratio for Rupture agents. Similarly, for armor agents, on the stat screen, laceration damage will replace crit damage. So just to be clear, they do have crit damage effectively, but they don't call it crit damage. They call it laceration damage. So already this is kind of weird. Again, you have to think about this class as very different. This is a very different class. Armor super crits. What the heck does super crits mean? Armor agents can deal more damage from their crits. Like, how do you do that? Because after all, you can't build crit damage, so how do you deal more damage with your crits? Again, I should just click ahead. I made this 5 days ago. When your crit rate exceeds 100%, you have the chance to do a super crit. And that chance is your current crit rate minus 100. That's kind of interesting. Hold on. Super crits? Extra crit damage? This also works with Ben, Nicole, etc. So Ben's additional says when he gives everyone his shield, that increases that agent's crit rate by 16%. So if you had 100 crit rate, Ben's shield would give you 116 crit rate. Nicole's Mindscape 6 debuffs enemies so that they take 15% more crit rate. Now, while that doesn't show up in the stat screen, the way the game calculates damage is that it will see the attack at the point that it's hitting enemies, and it will include that crit rate debuff on enemies into that attack calculation. The short version is if you're attacking with Claret after using Nicole's EX, Claret's move will have 15% more crit rate. You don't really get to see that buff, but that buff is there. So in order, the game checks to see if you are going to crit. And then if you are going to crit, and if your crit rate is over 100, then it will check to see if you do a super crit. So here's a very quick example. If Claret has 20% crit rate and 150% laceration damage, again, this is just crit damage by a different name. It's very confusing, and I don't like that. That's the one thing. If I talk about this class, it's going to be so hard to tell players to differentiate. Laceration damage is just crit damage, but it's not called crit damage, and therefore it means different things. Your normal crits will have 150% crit damage, but because your crit rate's only 20%, that only happens 20% of the time. Now let's imagine Claret has 120% crit rate with 150% laceration damage. Now your normal crits, because they're over 100, they will all deal 150% crit damage, and then you will have the chance to do super crits that have 300% quote crit damage. It's laceration damage. This one only happens 20% of the time, because again, you only have 120% crit rate. The game rolls to see, is your crit rate over 100? If yes, then we'll check it again. Hey, you only have 20% crit rate? Okay, so 1 out of 5 times you'll get a super crit. And the rest of them will just be normal crits. That's kind of interesting. It brings a new word to the whole crit DPS thing. It's like literally a crit DPS. More keywords: armor sharpness and gash. Armor agents have sharpness. What is sharpness? It's just energy, but it's called something different. I understand why they do it. They want to put a limiter on what agents are allowed to do. And they realized with season 1 agents that gave like 40 plus energy from their ults, like, hey, if we make future agents, maybe they suddenly go out of control in ways that we didn't account for. So we're just going to change what their energy bar is called. Why does she have this thing called sharpness? Because it's able to curtail what the class is and isn't allowed to do. That's it. It's the same thing with Rupture. Why does Rupture have adrenaline? The same reason. The other thing is that armor agents have a gash buildup bar. What is a gash buildup bar? Based on my very limited understanding of this, it is similar-ish to anomaly buildup. It does not replace anomaly buildup. Basically, all of your attacks build up gash, and eventually you get to a point where you will inflict gash onto enemies. So that way your big burst damage will happen after certain moves. And Claret, based on her kit, can store up to 3 gash on enemies. And she automatically applies 1 gash after her chain attack or an ultimate. So gash will build up naturally by just hitting enemies, and you can just give 1 gash naturally from her chain attack or her ultimate. This is subject to change. Armor Maim. Maim is the big damage from gash. Claret has this attached to her special in EX. This can also be triggered by other agents. So in Claret's kit, she said that stun agents can use their specials or EX to trigger it. So the basic gameplay loop with Claret is you attack enemies, you build up gash, and then you press special or EX, and that deals a big ton of damage. That's it. That's the gameplay loop. I spoiled the character for you. You press buttons, you deal damage. And when these stun agents do it, they will be using Claret's damage multiplier in her kit for that damage. It counts as Claret's damage, so don't worry about like making sure your stun agent has the right DPS. In summary, armor agents are burst crit DPSs. Big defense, big crits. You build up your gash and then you deal a bunch of maim damage. This is assuming Claret is a good baseline, because this discussion gets really weird if you talk about Rupture agents, because Yishun was not really a good baseline for what Rupture would want to do as a class. Monato was a great baseline for what Rupture agents are and what they want to do. Yishun was not. And Yishun released like 3 months before. So it could just be the case that Claret is the anomaly of the group. Even though she's an armor agent, she could be the anomaly of the group. This is also important. Part of Claret's kit involves pen ratio, which is why they buffed Rina like they did. She likes to have pen ratio, but future armor agents might not care about pen ratio. So don't think like, oh, because Rina is good with Claret, that means every future armor agent is going to be good with Rina. Like, that might not be the case, but we're not done. There's so much more to discuss. Is armor just Rupture? No, but they share some similarities. I'm not going to deny that. If you squint hard enough, it's like, are they the same? Maybe, but not quite. When people learned about armor, people were saying, oh, rest in peace defense. And my issue with that is like, what do you mean rest in peace defense? You know the song Wildfire from season 1? I come alive, burning the night like wildfire. Yeah, I come alive. Defense was not singing that song. That was a song for Miyabi, not the defense class. Resting in peace implies that you were working. When was the last time defense was working? I didn't see defense working, but like since version 1.3, Caesar was the first support they released. That's when defense class was working. Never since after 1.3, it's been downhill from there. Defense class was never alive to begin with. How can they rest in peace? People say, oh, the defense class is dead. It's like, you're assuming the defense class was alive. They did not come alive. They weren't burning the night like wildfire. They were just burning. The class was on fire and nobody put it out. Back to the topic. Rupture is the class with 100% pen ratio. It's called sheer force, but it's effectively 100% pen ratio. They are HP crit DPSs, except none of this matters because their HP scaling is bad and we don't have any high defense bosses now. What do you mean? These are the 2 bosses with high defense. We got Hator and then we got Wandering Hunter. These bosses have not been around for months. So it's like, yeah, I guess you have the unique class of Rupture, but like, what are they doing? Like, what is the actual use case for these agents? Like, yeah, they're crit DPSs. That's fine, but their whole niche of being like HP scaling, pen ratio agents doesn't matter. As I just said, Rupture is a barely niche crit DPS class now because, oh, they ignore all defense. Look at that. That makes them overpowered. Like, no, they are designed around the fact that they ignore all defense. So how do you make Rupture agents bad? Well, you just make bosses that have low defense. This thing that your gimmick that you were built upon, we can suddenly build around that. Fantastic. The same with armor. Oh, armor, they can do double crits? That's overpowered. No. armor will be designed around the fact that they can double crit. That is baked into the design of the class. They will be buffed and nerfed around that fact. It's not going to make them overpowered. On the topic of Rupture, a free Lucia was a massive red flag to me. I was like, wait a second. The reason it was, like, you're just releasing the best support for Rupture teams. You're just giving that to us for free. Why? Why are you doing that? Because here's the next question. When's the next Rupture adjacent agent? We just got Norma. Norma does increase her attack based on her sheer force. But, like, when's the next Rupture agent? And even then, what's the content going to be for them? Because, like, yeah, you could just give us a Rupture agent like Starlight Billy and say, oh yeah, you'll just fight these regular attack bosses that you've been fighting for the past 6 months, and we'll just give you a sheer damage buff. It's like, I guess that's fine, but like, that's not a niche. Like, oh, your niche is that I can use this Deadly Assault buff for about 6 weeks. It's like, yeah, that's okay, but like, the niche is just ideal damage? Like, great, fantastic. Instead, we have HP or sheer damage buffs in Deadly Assault or Shield Defense. Now, to clarify, Zenless has not abandoned the Rupture class. I know some people were talking about how Zenless has abandoned Rupture as a class. That's not true. We are still getting Rupture agents. We are still getting agents who care about Rupture in some way, shape, or form. They just released Norma, right? If you're going to talk about like a class that the game has abandoned, the last support agent, like the class support, was Suna, and she released in 2.6. So the game has not abandoned Rupture. They are just done designing stuff for it for right now. The follow-up question is, okay, with that understanding of Rupture, why would you assume armor won't follow in the same steps eventually? I'm not saying it's going to happen like 3.4. It's like, oh, the armor class is dead. Like, no. I'm talking about like 4.3. We're going to be in the same situation. Oh, have they abandoned the armor class? No, they're just going to probably stop designing stuff specifically for it. And here's the example I have for Rupture. Here is the buff that is going to happen. It's either in late 3.1 or early 3.2. I can't remember exactly. Let's read this room for Shield Defense. The agent's ice damage and ether damage increases by 25%, sheer damage increases by 20%, and damage dealt by ultimate increases by 50%. And then if you use your ultimate, you ignore attribute resistance for 15 seconds. The bosses for this are Bulky Enforcer, Bulky Intimidator, and Sacrifice Covenant Guardian. These are not Rupture enemies. It's like, here's ether and ice damage. The boss is weak to fire and physical. They just say, yeah, use whatever Rupture agent you want. It does not matter. Like, what the heck? I guess that's all right, but like, that's it? That's all you have for Rupture? Fight these nobodies in Shield Defense. Like, I guess you can do that, but like, come on. Oh, Rupture would like a little bit more than that. Even then, you don't need to use Rupture agents in this fight because you're just getting the sheer damage. Who cares? Use Pyroas. Pyroas got 4 ultimates. So it's not that they're not giving Rupture agents stuff to do. We have this buff. Hey, buffing my sheer damage. That's nice. But Rupture agents would like more than just, here's a sheer damage buff. They would like content designed around the fact that they are Rupture agents. They're not giving that to us anymore. Maybe they'll do it later when they release the next Rupture agent, but we'll have to wait for that. To remind people the quote from their dev talk, people took this quote out of context. They said, beyond the wind attribute, we've also drawn from our experience working on the latest Rupture specialty on top of player feedback in order to formulate and explore more possibilities regarding combat strategies and team synergies. People saw this quote, they saw this line from the video, they ran with it. This line was not about the Rupture class. They were not saying, we've taken time working with Rupture to make Rupture more interesting. This was about the possibilities regarding combat strategies and team synergies. They might have been referencing Rupture, but the statement was not about the Rupture class. Combat strategies and team synergies, they'll make that more interesting. Rupture can stay lame! Let's talk about W engines. New class means new W engines. How wonderful. Isn't that fun? A fun time for everybody. The new W engines. Armor W engines increase base defense. Every other class increases the base attack. Even for Rupture agents, you increase their base attack. But no, Armor W engines, because they scale their damage off of the defense stat, they increase base defense. This also makes current options much weaker, so no steel cushion cheating this time. The best strategy for Rupture agents was that all their W engines were boring and all their free options were bad. So what you would just do is you slap steel cushion on there because all they care about is crit stats anyway. And that was usually good enough. You can't do that this time because although armor agents do really want crit rate, they also want defense. And steel cushion doesn't give any defense. So, sure, you're getting more crit rate, but you're also sacrificing just base damage, period. So, that's kind of unfortunate. How to build armor. This is a tough one. What do you look for in your drive discs? Well, let's look at Thorned Rose. They just released this in version 3.1. It's gonna be a good baseline of understanding what the class should probably want. This drive disc gives defense and crit rate. So yeah, it's those two. You're gonna get defense and crit rate. That's it. Is it annoying that attack and crit damage are completely useless unless they changed it without telling me? Yes it is. It's going to be really weird looking at a drive disc that says like +2 defense, +2 crit rate, 0 attack and 0 crit damage. Be like, oh yeah, this is a really good disc. Your brain has not been wired to think that way. +1 crit rate, +1 attack, +1 crit damage, and say, oh man, this is a bad disc. Like, what? This should be at least decent. Like, nope, it's bad. But it is manageable. The reason it's manageable is because the end game does a lot of hand holding. And by hand holding, I mean they just give you a ton of buffs. So when Remiel released, people are worried about, oh man, do I have the perfect Remiel build? The response is, if Remiel released and you are doing poorly, I think that's a you issue, because the game is going to go out of its way to make sure your Remiel does a bajillion damage. Look at this buff. With 3 anomaly agents, attribute damage by agent increases by 60%. Like, oh, if I had 2 more substats, I can increase Remiel's damage by 3%. You know what's better than 3%? 60%! So how do you build crit rate? This is the hard part, because you have to build your crit rate over 100 in order to benefit from the super crits. Now, you don't have to super crit, but like the class is going to be designed around the fact that it can get these super crits, these crit rates that deal double laceration damage. So at core E, you'll level up your crit rate to 19.4%. That's your base level. Disc 4 gives you another 24. If you have a W engine, it can give you anywhere between 20 if it's an A rank or 25% if it's an S rank. Thorned Rose is giving another 16. Woodpecker's giving another 8. So in total, if you have the lowest W engine, your minimum crit rate will be 87.4%. That's pretty high, but that's not high enough compared to the class that wants to go to like well above 100%. This is not a very high number. So how does armor affect supports? Actually, I'll talk about this one over here real quick. People were theory crafting that maybe Sigrid was going to be an armor agent, and then they changed her to be an attack agent. Because when you look at her kit, she gives herself a billion crit rate. And what does the armor class want? They want a billion crit rate. So I think that's an interesting theory. I don't know if it's true though. I mean, she does have like a literal shield that she has. I mean, it's not a literal shield, it's like a flower techno shield. But like, she's got a shield, she has armor, like the concept of armor, the suggestion of armor in her design. She has some armor pieces, but she's not really wearing armor. Like, maybe you could say she was going to be an armorer agent? Maybe? I don't know about that. It's fun to think about. How does armor affect supports? Attack buffers are just worse, and crit damage buffers are also just worse. Uh-oh, hope you didn't spend money getting Astra. Oh boy, hope you didn't spend money trying to get Kaboom the Cannon. Oh, you buffed the team's attack? Wow, that's great. If only I used that stat. Yeah, so Claret will not be able to use Kaboom the Cannon. That's just, I mean, the team can, but Claret will not see any benefits from it because she does not use her attack. Nicole keeps on winning. What the heck? This is crazy. Nicole once again pulls ahead. Nicole, the support who does not give any attack or crit damage, can't stop winning. Mindscape 6, 15 crit rate. Core F, 40% defense shred. That's good enough. Let's go. And also, Rena's actually good now because Claret also wants pen ratio. Her kit gives her a little bit, so that's why she kind of likes it. And then Rena just gives her a lot more. And so that is the reason why they unlocked Rena's potential when they did. That does not mean all future armor agents will want pen ratio. It just means that Claret, who is an electric agent, also likes Rena, who is also an electric support. The other thing to note is that if you use Rena with Claret and you are willing to spend $10, you can also get Game Ball. Game Ball will effectively increase Claret's crit rate as long as you are fighting electric weak enemies. So you put that on Rena, and then that will increase Claret's crit rate, which is kind of important because now Game Ball used to be good. It's now even better. We now have a class that only cares about crit rate. We have a support W engine that only gives crit rate. If you're willing to part for $10, it's pretty good. This also means Ben might actually be better than Astra. Because at least Ben's additional gives crit rate. What is Astra giving? Attack? Ooh, fantastic. Crit damage? Ah, would love it. I love the crit damage and attack that I'm never going to use. The 2 chain attacks? Ah, you shouldn't have. Who cares about chain attacks? I want crit rate, dang it. It's very funny. There is a theoretical team you could use that's really bad. The problem with Ben is that Ben can only give his crit rate if he has his additional activated. If you're a new player, you might not even have Kaleda yet. So if you want to give Claret Ben's additional, there's not really a good fire agent who does that. But there might be a faction agent we can look to. You can also use Anton, because Anton's Mindscape 4 gives 10% crit rate for 12 seconds after he uses a chain attack or an ultimate. That is an option. It is a bad option because Claret will not have her additional in that team. So that's a really bad idea, but it is an idea. How does armor affect teams? Because I just talked about this. Claret's additional requires stun or armorer agents. And part of her additional is that her main gives her a self buff that she can give to another agent. And the agents she can give them to are the stun agents or to another armorer agent. And Claret's releasing by herself. She's the only armorer agent unless they change Roxy. This means that the ideal armorer team might be like a dual DPS team, where maybe one armorer is like more focused on the burst damage and another agent is more focused on being like a sub DPS or support, like Cecilia or Orphe. Because why else would they include this in Claret's additional? Because her additional says, like, when she does a certain move, she can transfer her own personal buff to them and extends that buff by 3 seconds. And when you switch back, it gives Claret the buff back and extends it again by another 3 seconds. So it's like you're designing this character to be like a burst DPS that switches with other burst DPSs. That's kind of interesting. What could the ideal armorer team look like? If Claret is a good baseline, there's a good chance that it's going to be double armorer plus stun, or if you don't have a lot of options, you could run double stun and armorer. Where are the supports? Yeah, so it might mean that the armorer class, the other thing that makes it different is that you really don't run supports in this team. No, seriously, where are the supports? The last one we had since version 2.6, we have had 4 anomaly agents, 3 stun agents, 2 attack agents, and 1 rupture agent. We have had 0 support agents in that time. So wait, where are the supports? From my very limited understanding of this class, I think it is a safe bet to say that they probably will not rely on supports as much as the other classes have, especially when they're so the one stat they want a lot of is crit rate, and we don't really have a lot of supports that give crit rate unless you're Nicole. But here's one crackpot idea. I came up with this on my own. If for some reason you have Bernice's Mindscape 2, which gives 20% pen ratio on all your attacks, and if for some reason you farm Inferno Metal when you farm for Puffer Electro, because Claret does like pen ratio, and the disc right next to the pen ratio one is Inferno Metal, right there. If you have both of these, you could build the team of Claret, Pulchra, and Bernice. And if you give Claret Inferno Metal, then you will get 28% crit rate from Inferno Metal, 30% damage from Pulchra, and 20% pen ratio from Bernice, and whatever other buffs Claret gives herself. This is bad, but it's not the worst idea. This can be improved. There is another future. People are guessing that Sunbringer, because her name is Sunbringer, that maybe, just maybe, she'll be the Void Hunter fire armor agent. And in that context, like, hold on, wait a second. A fire agent in a class that only wants crit rate. You don't say. I'm telling you, the game tries to make people forget about this drive disc. It's incredible, but it's very limiting. This is a shameless plug. I already made a video talking about Inferno Metal in detail, and I got some wonderful merch made out of it. Go check it out, please. I would greatly appreciate it. Here's some other stuff about Claret. She has what's in her kit that's called a counter assist, and it negates control skills. That sounds cool. It doesn't really matter right now, though. Like, what do you mean? A move that can just negate control skills? Wow, isn't that awesome? Isn't that incredible? Not really, because the control skills we have right now are pretty quick and simple. And the bosses we have, or should I say, the bosses who have them, are also just bad for Claret. Let's look at them in order. We have Immortal Nightmare. I forgot her exact name. We have Vesper. We have Sanguine Sweeper. We got Scorched Horizon. And then we got Gertablulu 2, Electric Boogaloo. You'll notice something. This is a boss for Yeshangguang, and it has half defense. So your pen ratio, like, you can use Claret. It's just not what Claret wants to do because she wants pen ratio. And this boss does not care about your pen ratio. And then the rest of these bosses are anomaly bosses. So like, yeah, is it cool that she can do this? Maybe? Not for these bosses. Why in the world would I want to use Claret against Scorched Horizon? She's not an anomaly agent. She's an armor agent. Malite also brings up another point. A lot of these bosses, their performance points are based off of their control skill. So if you just negate the control skill, you're just going to get fewer points. So what the heck? How does armor affect the end game of Zenless? It's really funny because most bosses and stage buffs give attack, crit damage, anomaly. This is the buff we just had. 10% attack, 30 anomaly, 40% crit damage. And then if you inflict an anomaly, you decrease the enemy's defense. There's something for everybody here. Any agent can make use of some of these buffs. Because even Rupture, at least they convert some of their attack into sheer force. So it's not an ideal buff, but it's good enough. Hey, crit damage, more sheer force, that's fine. Armor agents get none of that. It's all useless. You know the drill by now. Let the shilling commence. They've created a class that cannot take advantage of any of these buffs. Fantastic. We love to see it. They want defense. They want sharp damage because it's like sheer damage, but it's called sharp damage. And they want crit rate. None of these have anything to do with that. So that's a problem. How do we make these agents look good? Let's give them a brand new boss that reduces attack, anomaly proficiency, and crit damage by a bajillion percent. Now who could possibly work in that environment? It'd be really funny if Zenless made a bunch of DPSs who don't care about any of these stats, now wouldn't it? They could also just make a boss that has infinite control skills. Like, oh man, if only you had an agent who could negate all of these infinite control skills. Assuming it's a class thing and not only for Claret. Now, how do we make armor agents look bad? We've been in an armor meta for a while. How do we make them look less good? Let's make a brand new boss that increases the team's attack, AP, and crit damage by a bajillion percent. Who could work in that environment? It'd be really funny if they made a bunch of DPSs who don't care about any of those stats. Yes, this is the natural cycle of Zenless game design. Where are the previous flavors? I remember back in version 1.5 when they were announcing Aftershocks. We were like, oh, the future of Zenless, Aftershocks. Every future agent is going to have an Aftershock, and it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. It'll be fantastic. Where are they? Where are the Aftershocks? They're not here. They're gone. They disappear. When Aether Veil came out, oh no, Aether Veil is ruining the integrity of the game. These shield buffs, they're going to destroy everything we hold precious and dear. Wait, where are the Aether Veil? Wait, where are they? Are the Aether Veils in the same room as us? Where'd they go? I don't see them. Here are some speculations. Threats additional require stun or armorer. So what future agents are likely to be armor agents? We got the Sunbringer's new class. We have a Void Hunter coming out eventually. It would kind of make sense that the Void Hunter of the new patch would be of that attribute. Could she be fire? Her name is Sunbringer, but like maybe they say she's going to be wind or something. I don't know. Severian? Could Severian be an armor agent? Let's talk about that. What will Severian be? What will Sephiroth be? Will he be an armorer agent? Maybe? Will he be an A rank? Uh-oh, maybe. Oh no, if he's an A rank, then he'll be bad. Oh no. The male fantasy is to be an A rank, not an S rank. He'll be bad if he's an A rank. Oh no, I can't spend money on him. Figure it out. All I gotta say is if you like Severian and you want him to perform well, you will, instead of spending infinite money on Severian, you will just spend infinite money on his supports. Instead of getting like a Mindscape 6 Remio, a Mindscape 2 Claret, and a Mindscape 2 Roxy, you'll throw Severian in there and that team will be good. Probably. Assuming he's armor. I don't know what he's gonna be. It's funny to think about because like, what attribute would he be? It's like, could he be electric? It's like, I think it makes the most sense if he's electric. And then we get into a Banyue situation where it's like, wait, you are releasing an electric armorer A rank right next to another electric armorer S rank? Isn't that kind of weird? Like, yeah, that is kind of weird. So like, what would he be? Like, would he be wind? Like, probably not. He could, but like, it'd be nice if they made him a wind agent, but like, would you want an armorer wind agent? Like, probably not. Because as of right now, Roxy's a wind agent, and it's like, wind doesn't really want to work with wind agents. They want to work with other attributes. So, like, could he be an anomaly agent? Like, maybe. The Severian's in this weird place of like, I'm not sure what he is or what he's going to do. And then after that would be the Sunbringers. What makes the most sense to me is that he will be an electric armorer agent that is an A rank, and he's going to be given out for free so that way players have something to do with the class, so that way they are incentivized to pull for the supports of that class. I think that is the most likely thing to do. The next likely thing would be to make him like an anomaly support, an A rank anomaly support that is of the wind attribute. They might make him an S rank. I don't know. I am just throwing out guesses here. I am guessing. They showed off one guy in the live stream who looked like he would be a playable agent. And last time they did that was Monato. Monato was an A rank, who was also the introduction to the Rupture class. I am guessing that if they introduce an agent who is an free introduction to the Armorer class, that they will also be the A rank. And if there's going to be an A rank for that, it's probably going to be the one guy they showed. That's a guess. I'm just guessing. All right, so all of this said, what do I actually think about this class? Armor seems to be substantially more interesting than Rupture. It's a gambler's paradise. The class, when you're building them properly, will always crit, but we could get them even bigger crits. There's always a bigger possibility. However, this class does have a hard ceiling because there are no natural ways to increase laceration damage unless it's written directly in the kits or unless they do some weird conversion in the same way that Rupture agents do still get 30% of their attack converted into sheer force. They could do a thing where 30% of your crit damage is converted into laceration damage. Crit damage as a stat gets replaced by laceration damage. It doesn't even show up. So they could still do like a conversion thing. It'd be nice if they did, so that way you could have a much better time of gearing and building agents, and that way supports that still gave crit damage or attack wouldn't become completely useless. And because there's no natural way to increase it as of recording, it also sets a hard cap limit on how much the class is going to do. That's why there's a hard ceiling. So if you really want your Claret to be good, the best you can get her is to 200% crit rate, and from then on you're just going to have to build up defense because you can't get more laceration damage unless they directly write it in the kit of a character. You can't build your way around this unless they directly change it. Out with the old, in with the new. Your longtime top tier supports and builds are weak. Oh, you have a disc or support that gives a bunch of attack and crit damage? Too bad! Get them out of here. Obviously, there are pros and cons to this. The pros and cons are like, wow, everything here is completely different from what I have now. That's bad! Now I have to start over! The other side is, wow, everything's completely different from what I have. Finally, a breath of fresh air, right? It's all about perspective. If you were banking on Claret being a Rupture agent, you're probably disappointed because you pulled for Lucia. Like, all right, I got Lucia, I got her Dreamlit Hearth, and hey, I even got her in 2.8 to get her Mindscape 1. Let's go! Now, she'll be the best support for Claret. Claret doesn't care about Lucia. She doesn't care about crit damage. She doesn't care about sheer force. She's an armor agent. She wants crit rate and defense. Lucia doesn't give any of that. There are also too many dead stats. I want to make this very clear. I am acknowledging, even if I think the class is interesting, I want to acknowledge that the class has too many dead, useless stats that are also over-centralized on only one stat. Sure, they are defense scaling, so they want defense, but they are also heavily reliant on crit rates to deal their ideal damage. English is wonderful. So because of that, they're almost like anomaly agents. If you had an anomaly agent who only cared about attack, that character was Remiel. Remiel was kind of like that, a character who only cared about attack until reaching a certain threshold, and then you cared about her AP more. But it's like, no, the entire class is just going to be defense and crit rate, except maybe they only prioritize their crit rate instead. And that's kind of frustrating. That's really annoying to build. Because at least if your attack agents, if you have a piece that has attack and crit rate and crit damage, those are all good, useful stats. Even on Rupture, if you have a disc that has attack and crit rate and crit damage, that's still useful because you're going to convert some of your attack into sheer force. So even if it's not perfect, it's still pretty decent. For armor agents, those stats are useless. It is going to be a building nightmare. The fun will never end. You will farm Thorn Disc until you die. You will never have the perfect build. Even if you do have the perfect build, I think the perfect build is, let me get a calculator out. One substat of crit rate is 2.4. And if you have a perfect disc, I think you can get a +5 in that stat. Let's multiply that by 6. You get +5, so you get 14.4 crit rate from that. And because your disc 4 is probably going to be crit rate anyway, you only get 5 disc with +5. So you multiply this by 5. The maximum you can get from your substats in this fantasy land is 72 crit rate in substats. That's a lot, but that's going to be really hard to get. But you're probably going to get something closer to +3 at the most for most stats. It's possible to get a +4. It's a dream world to get +5. So 2.4 times +3 is 4. So it's 1 + 3. So it's +4, 5, 48. That's quite a bit less. That's much less. So it is harder to build these characters. Not to build them, but to extract all possible value out of them. If you're trying to go for that 200% crit rate, so that way you're dealing double crit damage, but it's laceration, your double laceration damage, it's going to be hard to do unless they actually change how the class works. If they made it so that 30% of your crit damage is converted into crit rate, that would be nice. That would make crit damage not a useless stat. I don't know if they'll do that though, because maybe they're worried that if you make that too reliable, then the class becomes too powerful for its own good. Overall, I think this can be more engaging, but I do recognize its intentionally designed limitations. They don't want you having a ton of crit damage, which is why they put a hard cap limit on it. In conclusion, subscribe if you feel like it, you don't have to. Liking this, sharing this will help even more. If you want to become a sponsor, I would greatly appreciate it. For the very low cost of $1.99, I made it very inexpensive. Shoutouts to my super sponsors: Caligula138, I Love My PC, I'm Peth, Jam Jalopy, Superbro64, and Tactail Light. Thank you all so much. I guess my conclusion for this class is that I am looking forward to it. Hesitantly. I am hesitantly eager for this class. Because I know when this class comes out, a lot of posts from new players are going to be like, how in the world do I build this class? All these things I had before I can't use. This is awful and terrible. And that is a learning curve for players. And it's not fair to them. Like, you have to learn this brand new thing that you never had to do before. And now you have to throw out all your previous builds for this new class. That stinks. I understand that. All those wonderful defense pieces you got before, you toss them away. My name's Yojimbo Blade, and I hope you all have a blessed day. See you soon.